The situation at Red Bull has reached an unprecedented critical level. Christian Horner was dismissed suddenly and surprisingly, putting the team in a desperate situation that could drastically alter the Austrian team's fate in Formula One. Has management's tolerance finally run out? This move could definitively bury the legacy of one of the most dominant teams in the modern era of motorsport. What happened was something no one saw coming. During the previous week, Christian Horner was officially removed from his responsibilities as executive director and team principal of Red Bull, being replaced by Laurent Mekies, who previously ran Racing Bulls. Horner had been at the helm since 2005, when Red Bull entered Formula One, building a dominance that won several world championships and established one of the most remarkable hegemonies in the sport. For almost 20 years, he turned Red Bull from a rookie team into an absolute force, winning constructors' titles and nurturing talents such as Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen. Now, that era has come to an end in a totally unexpected way. Jolyon Palmer, former Renault driver and expert analyst, did not hide his surprise at the timing of the decision. Palmer pointed out that the speed and timing of the departure took everyone completely by surprise. According to him, although there was pressure on Horner due to this season's disappointing results, no one imagined that the explosion would happen right after Silverstone, leaving Red Bull in an extremely fragile condition. The timing is particularly curious, considering that we are in the middle of the season when structural changes are usually avoided to preserve operational stability. Palmer emphasized that the feeling in the paddock is one of total surprise because even with all the difficulties, no one expected such a radical change at this point. And it doesn't end there. Horner's departure is just another episode in a hemorrhage that has been devastating Red Bull over the past 18 months. Adrian Newey, the aerodynamics master responsible for the winning cars, had already announced his transfer to Aston Martin after decades of success. Jonathan Wheatley, sporting director and chief strategist, became Sauber's team principal, taking with him all his knowledge of racing operations. Rob Marshall, chief engineer and a key player in technical development, moved to McLaren. Now, with Horner gone, Red Bull has lost virtually all of the technical and strategic leadership that built its dynasty in recent years. It is as if the core structure of the team has been completely demolished. This exodus of talent is unprecedented in recent Formula One history and demonstrates the depth of the internal crisis Red Bull is facing. The challenge is even greater than it appears. Laurent Mekies, who is taking over, has a huge task ahead of him. Running Racing Bulls is completely different from leading the main Red Bull team. Palmer was blunt. It's a colossal job because Red Bull is a completely different beast from the B team. Mekies needs to quickly understand the dynamics of a team that, until recently, was absolutely dominant. He has to deal with a much larger budget, much more intense pressure, expectations for immediate results, and an infinitely more complex organizational structure. It's like leaving a regional company to take over a multinational overnight. Mekies has experience in international motorsports, but he has never faced a total rebuild like this. The situation becomes even more dramatic when we look at the team's current performance. Palmer was harsh, but realistic. Without Max Verstappen, Red Bull is currently a back-of-the-grid team. The car is simply no longer competitive, and figuring out how to make it drivable again is a monumental challenge. That's not to mention the pressure of finding the right drivers to get the most out of the equipment. Sergio Pérez has faced enormous difficulties, and Red Bull's second seat has become a real nightmare. How will Mekies resolve these fundamental technical issues while still learning to navigate his new role? The development of the 2025 car is already compromised, and without consolidated technical leadership, the chances of recovery become even more remote. But wait, there's more. 2026 is fast approaching, and with it, Red Bull powertrains will debut as an engine supplier. It's a complete unknown for the entire team. They have had a fantastic partnership with Honda for years, a relationship that has brought consistent and competitive results. Abandoning this solid partnership to venture into developing their own engines is a huge risk, especially at a time of such internal instability. The Red Bull Powertrains project represents an investment of hundreds of millions of euros, and any mistake could compromise not only 2026 but several subsequent seasons. The pressure on Mekies is mounting, as he needs to coordinate not only the development of the chassis, but also oversee the transition to the team's own engines. Palmer did not mince words when assessing the situation. He emphasized that, considering all the success Red Bull has had recently, the way things have fallen apart has been extremely dramatic. Unlike other slumps we have seen in Formula One, there has been no major regulatory change to justify this collapse. It is an established team that was at the top and suddenly finds itself struggling to remain relevant. This type of internal collapse is rare in sport and usually indicates much deeper problems than just technical issues. Palmer compared the situation to other major falls in Formula One history, but pointed out that he has rarely seen such a rapid and complete deterioration. The analysis is clear. The timing of Horner's departure is terrible for Laurent Mekies. He is taking over a team in deep crisis, with huge technical challenges, the loss of key talent, and the pressure to develop a new engine for 2026. It is a perfect storm that could define Red Bull's future in Formula One. In addition, Mekies has to deal with pressure from the media, sponsors, and especially fans, who expect to see Red Bull return to the top quickly. The expectations are unrealistic, but the pressure is real, and this could directly affect the team's strategic decisions. The question on everyone's lips is, can Red Bull recover from this crisis? The team that dominated with an iron fist for years now needs to completely reinvent itself. Mekies has experience, but he has never faced a challenge of this magnitude. Red Bull's future is literally in the hands of someone who, until last week, was in charge of a satellite team. Will he be able to restore the winning culture and rebuild the technical structure necessary to compete at the highest level? The history of Formula One is littered with teams that never recovered from similar crises, and Red Bull may be heading for the same fate. This situation shows how cruel Formula One can be. A team that seemed invincible just a few months ago is now struggling to maintain its dignity. It is the cruelest sport in the world, where glory can turn into a nightmare overnight. Red Bull is experiencing its most delicate moment since it arrived in the category, and only time will tell if this is a passing crisis or the beginning of a long journey through the desert. What is most striking is the speed with which everything fell apart, proving that in Formula One, no position is guaranteed and no success is permanent. What do you think of this turnaround at Red Bull? Will Mekies be able to reverse this terrible situation, or are we seeing the end of a golden era? Leave your opinion on this Formula One bombshell in the comments. Click on the video appearing on your screen, because there I'll tell you how this crisis could directly affect Max Verstappen's chances in the championship and what he might be thinking about his future with the team.